Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 106, Agency Insights, cross-functional teams, across companies, bring in other experts. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to another of the Builders, another solo episode. Don't worry, some guests are coming. We got a couple lined up already, and I'm going to be doing another round of outreach to find some more good guests. Taking just a little break, and Matt's just talking and chilling and focused on just my business, which we're going to talk about today. I'm actually going to I just bulleted out like 3 topics on the fly here. Things that I'm working on now that I think I can draw lessons from the trenches. And so we'll do that today. But yeah, we do have guests coming. I've not given up on that pursuit. This is actually probably this might be the 4th or 5th solo in a row, but I have been seriously very focused on other aspects of my business. Got a lot going on, which is good, right? So I'm not complaining. But I've had this, Matt, you need to go out and schedule some guests in the back of my mind to do that. I could get some help with that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we have people we're onboarding, new projects we're starting on the marketing side of things. We've got new clients coming in. So a lot happening, and I just wanted to stay focused. So I tend to do that. So I'll get a little tunnel vision for a while, but that is, honestly how I design this podcast. That's why I have solo episodes. So there's no pressure. And I think that's the only way I could really think about doing a podcast. It's great to always have this flow of guests, and I love talking to people and talking about their business, their experience, and sharing their stories from the trenches. But at the same time, like, I don't want that pressure of having to have that treadmill or whatever you want to call it, going all the time and having to always be talking. Like, if things are happening in my business, sometimes my brain just needs to focus. They say you can only hold so many things in your brain at a time. And it's kind of true with the different projects you might have going on, or just, you're only human, right? I'm still human. I wish I was a robot sometimes, or at least spliced into, maybe some kind of cyborg where I had a computer part of my brain that could handle more multitasking. But unfortunately, I have a limit too. And so I kind of always am sort of measuring my stress levels and what I'm doing, the capacity that I have to take on more. And once in a while, I dial it down on the podcast side, and doing solos is actually dialing it down because there's less prep. Even our conversations are usually pretty organic. I don't do a lot. They're not scripted. We mostly don't know what we're going to talk about during a podcast. We'll say, this is the basic structure. We know what you do. We're going to talk about that, and where it takes us, it takes us. And I love doing it that way. Again, maybe it's my need to not have stress, but it's the same for these solos. I'll do a couple bullets like this and just talk. Hopefully, you enjoy that. If you don't, I am sorry. What are you doing here then? So let's dive into it. Let's dive into these couple of topics. So the first thing I want to just talk about, and I talk about these things kind of in general terms. I normally don't name my clients and things like that. So, but I do like to still talk to it generally, because you can draw lessons from that. And I think that's why I got this podcast. I think the best way to learn sometimes is from listening to people that are doing it in the trenches. Now we're out here doing, not just preaching, but doing what we preach. That is where I talk to you from. So in this case, I'm going to talk about, it's actually they're not an agency. They're like a digital marketing company. They do a lot of promotions and promote courses and software, you name it, digital stuff. And we support them on the dev side, front end development. But in these past months, we've started to do more and more design work. We did a little design work here and there, but now we're like doing a lot more design work with them. And it's been great. It's been really good. It's kind of an example of, sometimes as an agency, we don't grow ourselves. Our clients and our partners grow. The businesses we work with grow. And so we kind of go with that. So as a business, if one of our partners or clients is doing really well, we go with that. But it can work in reverse too. Sometimes they struggle and we get less or whatever. But in this case, we are doing more for this company. And it's been an interesting couple months with doing more design for them. There's reasons we're doing that. We're helping them more with their kind of branding and brand identity throughout all the stuff they're doing. And it's been really, really cool, but it's also been very, very cool to kind of guide. So my role is I have a developer involved and I have a designer involved, and then I have their team, and we've been working with their back-end devs for quite some time, a couple of years. But now, and once in a while we work with their copywriter. They have a full-time copywriter at this company. But now we're doing a lot with that copywriter. He's kind of in charge of some more projects and stuff and what we're doing. And so we're interfacing with them that way. And I was trying to actually, before recording this, I was trying to figure out what you call this, because there's this thing called cross-functional teams, right? But I don't know if that's just within organizations where you have different teams that do different things, and you all work together towards a common goal kind of thing. And I guess it would work cross-functional, cross-company teams. But basically, that's one of the things we do with a lot of even our direct clients, kind of like this, or we have other direct clients where they have a team. Maybe they have a marketing person, or they have in different forms, and we work with them to accomplish their goals, to translate their vision into what do they need on their website. And so in this case, it's been interesting because there's this kind of new initiative that we're helping them with, and on the brand identity side, helping them improve their websites, their landing pages, even PDFs. We're working on some PDFs, PDF design. There's something they were delivering, an incentive they're delivering to the masses via a sign up, incentive for somebody to sign up for their newsletter or whatever. So we're doing a bunch of stuff there on the digital side, design side. And when we started to discuss this, so I'm more involved up front. This is kind of a scenario where I'm going to be more involved up front, maybe months, maybe a year, I don't know. But until my team can be autonomous and kind of do their own thing, and so I'm kind of moving in that direction. But in the beginning, I'll be more hands-on. And so in the very beginning, I was very hands-on and watching every minute detail and trying to figure out, part of this is the process. So we're redeveloping our process around building landing pages for them. Before it was much simpler. They'd send us a design or a website they needed translated to, like Bootstrap or something. And and I have a dedicated developer for them that just does it. but now we got a design person involved and still that developer. So now the design person has to work with the copywriter, and the copywriter has to deliver the requirements to us in a very certain format, right? So the designer can translate that, what he needs, the copy and the structure of that copy, into a design, and then that design is provided to the developer, and the developer develops it, and then there's a review process and all this stuff, right? So, but the first iteration of that, it was pretty rudimentary. It was kind of quick too. It was like we're trying to just do it on the fly, and it was okay. It went okay, but like for example, the copywriter, the way he had structured the doc, I gave him some, maybe some ideas around how to better structure it, or to ask him to better structure it, so it's easier to translate that, and that it will improve over time. But this last iteration, we're working on this new landing page, and he delivered a doc that took it a little bit further. Was a little better structured on how it was done, and so this is where I start to step back a little bit. And like the first project or couple projects, I was very watching every detail, like I said. But now I even told them, our company we're working for, the other team, the copywriter, and his team, whatever's going on over there. I said I'm hands off. I wanted to see how this goes. So, and this is one of the things I thought of actually today too, as this was all happening today. It's kind of being delivered today. I've been working on it for a while, but I thought, you can't be afraid to let your team fail. You have to test them somehow, right? You have to give them enough. You have to give them something, and then trust they're going to do it, or they'll figure it out, right? You can't. At some point, you can't micromanage. You have to start stepping away, and you have to just trust. Okay, they understand what we're doing now. We've guided. I've been side by side with them, guiding them. Now I'm going to just kind of see what happens. And with the copywriter delivering something really nicely structured and easy to understand, and then the designer was able to take that and she translated it to the design and made it look really nice. And because I was reviewing it this past day, I'm like, she did great. This is great. And I went back to the copywriter. I said, this is great. Good job with that. I think this is going to work. And then now my designer and my developer, they communicate together. They're working together and getting the assets to the designer designer's getting the assets to the developer to do the front end. This is a bootstrap project, and she's translated already. It's already done. And there's a couple tweaks along the way. Hey, can you do this? Going to the designer, can you redesign this? Or we need some stock images for this. And so there's little tweaks happening, but it's all happening. And that process, this iteration of the process actually worked really, really well. So there's this component, like there's this kind of, the first stages of this, when you're kind of working out new processes you've never done before, you never worked. We've been working with their teams for a couple years, but this is kind of ramping it up, adding the whole design element and doing more stuff with that. So there was a lot more to figure out there, right? And to see that go from, me having to train my team into how to translate that. And actually through this whole process too, there's this other layer to it where we are trying to work on their brand identity and make their brand stand out more on their pages, and doing a lot of that type of branding work is happening at the same time. So that was happening, that training's happening, or training and testing and experimenting, all kinds of stuff, and going through review processes with the company and stuff like that. So that's happening. Then the whole process of how to deliver the requirements that are easy to translate, all that. And it takes time, but when you do that and you go through that process, and it takes patience. I just had a video on YouTube, one of my shorter videos, agency lessons. I talked about, onboarding, new employees, and how in the beginning, sometimes it's a lot of work. You got to put in the work. It's hiring somebody, at least for me. I mean, hiring somebody you just hire them and then hope for the best. Hope they come in and figure it out. You gotta, especially if it's a new role or a new process, you gotta be in there and be guiding that process. Unless you hire somebody, that has more experience than you do, then, they can just do it. But a lot of times you're teaching somebody, and you have to, help them through that process. That's what you're there for, or that's what I'm, in this case, what I'm there for. But it was a beautiful thing. And so that was one thing I thought I'd share. I was trying to think about the lessons there. The lesson is really, working together with other teams and stuff. And communication is super important. Both teams have to be flexible enough to want to work on, like if I was working with a team that this is the requirements and they, like I've done that. We've gotten like bullets, just like random bullets that aren't well explained or anything. But if you're working with somebody that has the understanding that they need to structure things in a certain way if they want a good result, if you want a machine that's well oiled and works, you have to put in that effort. So it's not just me putting the efforts, but the other team, the company has to put in the effort and be on board with improving their processes. Part of their thing too is they're trying to figure out how to scale. What they'd been doing up until the last few months wasn't scalable. So they're relying on us. If we can figure out this process, then we can help them scale by adding resources and, so it's a whole thing. But yeah, the lesson there is just, you gotta put in the time. In the beginning, it's more hands-on for if you're managing that situation, that team. But my goal is always, I want to get to a place where now they can pretty much operate on their own. And then I might bring in my project manager to onboard the stuff. Right now I'm onboarding. I'm way more hands-on, but eventually it should just run. And I've seen that play out many times. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's my story about that. That's my share on that. Next thing. So it's similar. This is actually another client. They're a direct client. They have an e-commerce store, right? And this e-commerce store, we've been really working hard over the last couple of years. I think it was, almost 2 years. We've been working with them and we help maintain their site. We have a monthly contract to maintain their site, a retainer. And it's been a wild ride. We've done a lot of stuff for them. Even from the beginning, we've worked on a lot of speed related stuff and to optimize their site for speed and mobile. We've helped them improve their code base, their theme. They use WordPress. That was a mess when we first got it. So we've done a lot with them over time. But one of the things they're really trying to, kind of a new initiative, is to improve conversions on the site. Now, we could advise them in certain, aspects of that. But what they did, this is actually second time. They have another site we help with too. They did this for that site as well. But what they did is they go out and they get a conversion expert to basically review their website or the pages they're interested in optimizing for, and have them go through and offer suggestions. and examples and things they want to do. And that's great. That's another kind of cross-functional thing that now what we're going to do on our end is so I've gone through that person's recommendations and the video they made and all this stuff. And now what my job is I come in and I, number one, take a lot of notes as I'm going through that. And I'm thinking about, so specifically right now we're working on the product details page where, the cart is, add to cart and all that product information. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at everything that's recommended. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a wireframe and see what we can do or can't do. There could be an element there like with WooCommerce, or for some reason we couldn't do it, or it doesn't make sense for maybe their, merchant that they sell through, or what, there could be different things we need to do. But we want to so I'm going to first do a wireframe. I'm going to work with my team to make sure everything that I envision for that page, based on that, conversion experts' feedback, is doable, which probably most of it will be. And, remove this, change this, move this over here, add this element, that type of stuff. And then what I will do is I'll do that. And then I actually, I suggested that maybe they bring a copywriter into this. And so now that actually has fallen on my lap a little bit. I'm going to bring in a copywriter. I may work on some of the copy myself and then maybe have somebody come in and clean it up, maybe do better. But it's bringing in the experts, right? So in this case, we are the web design development team. I can offer a lot of insights, suggestions. They ask my opinion on things all the time, as a lot of clients do, based on my 20 years doing this stuff. Being on the web. And so I got a lot of insights, but it's at the same time, it's important sometimes if you really want to improve a situation, in this case, improve conversions, is to get other eyeballs on it, other experts in general, maybe within the team. But sometimes you get that outside expert, get somebody else's perspective. And if you have an expert, that's all they do is conversions, and they have a good track record, obviously it's like anything else, you got to vet them. But if you can bring that person in, and then we can translate that, and we can pick up on the things, and we may have experience saying, well, our experience says otherwise. But if most of it's good to go, then we can take that on. But it's that. Now we take care of speed. We're the speed experts. But if you were in a web design development agency that didn't do a lot of speed optimization and stuff, you might bring in a speed optimization expert, with recommendations. So that's a bad example because we do that. It's same with copywriting. So I'm going out. So the client gets the conversion expert, and we get that information, and then we're going to go out and we're going to get the copywriter if needed, bring the copywriter in to help construct the copy on that page. I mean, we'll create layouts, we'll probably internally create the assets if we need them, like other graphics and things like that, which were part of the recommendations. So we're all working together across teams. This company has a marketing person. She has input as well on all that. And hang on a second. I have Alexa behind us here, and once in a while she likes to tell me there's a notification, but then it has this flashing thing, and so it's right there. I had to put something over top of it so I don't see it. All right, back to what I was talking about though. So it's great, but I think that's what, what we try to solve as an agency is filling in the gaps. We provide a very specific service. So on the maintenance side, we bring design to the table. So some of our maintenance contracts are robust enough where we can build features, build pages, do design work, and do all of other things that we do. So, but we're design development. We're not copy. We're not content. We are at least limited in that regard. So if we get those things, we will outsource them. If a client asks us to go get some copy created, we can go do that. We need to get a copywriter. We can go do that. And we can manage that process. And someday, maybe as we scale up, that's not to say that we'll never have an in-house copywriter. That would be a great thing. Help us with our own sites. Because right now, if you look at every single one of our sites, I'm the guy that wrote the copy. I wrote the copy, if you didn't hear that. I have some copywriting background. I don't know how, I make conversions. We're doing all right. But it's not something I do every day. Like, it's not my main gig. But if we had somebody dedicated that has that copywriting experience that comes in, that would be beautiful. I would love just a content person someday. But that's how we can operate, though. And so sometimes it's the client, sometimes it's the agency. They got their own people to do certain things. Even on the agency side, it's the same way. Sometimes some agencies I have, they prefer to do the design in-house. They do their design, and then we just translate it. Other agencies we work with, we do the design and the development. So it all really just depends on because the company I was just thinking of when I was thinking about the agencies that like to do design, one specifically, they have their own conversion kind of methodology and philosophies, and I think they want control of that process. And they just need somebody to translate that to a WordPress theme. So it really depends. You gotta be flexible. But there's a couple good examples of cross-functional, cross-company, cross-agency teams working together for common goals or to do more than they could do on their own, right? If, like the original company I was talking about that we were working on their brand and all that stuff. Like if they try to do front end stuff in-house, it would probably be, a disaster, or it would create, they don't want to do it and they don't have the skills because it's different. To manage a creative team and a front end team is very different than managing a back end team or other types of teams. So you would need somebody there dedicated to do that. And so we fill that role for them instead. They outsource that instead. And that's really the whole idea with partnering with other agencies, is to fill roles that they don't want to do, or they don't have an interest in doing, they don't have the experience doing. It doesn't make sense to do that in-house. We got a new partner we started with this past month. Similar situation. They had an in-house team of developers. During COVID, they let them go, but they still need them. And so instead of rehiring in-house, they're very, very busy. I can tell already working with them for a month. They're very busy. But so they don't want to have to build out a whole new team. Instead, they're giving that to us. They're going to outsource all the dev stuff to us. So it's a beautiful thing. That was the second thing. So we talked about, processes, working together on processes between teams, working with other experts to, hiring other experts, whether that's us hiring an expert. I don't know. I can't talk all of a sudden. Hiring, maybe because I haven't had breakfast yet. Need some more coffee. Hang on. Hiring, we can hire experts. We can bring resources in that has specific expertise. Even on the development side, we do that sometimes if we have a project that's something we don't do all the time, but we want to do it. We know we are able to find that expert and bring that person in to help us, maybe on a temporary contract. But then sometimes it's a client. Sometimes it's the agency that we're working with, and they bring in their own experts, and then we work with them. So this whole business is all about relationships and being able to communicate and work with others. It really is. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Have a great one. Have an awesome one. Until next time. Bye-bye.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.